And hi, everyone. I'm immigration attorney John Khosravi. Thank you for joining this live Q&A every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. On TikTok, I handle immigration lawyer John. That's John, John. Also on Facebook, JQK Law Firm. And the recording, along with clips of it, is going to be on the YouTube page for JQK Law Firm, along with the Instagram page of the same name. So as people are trickling in, please let me know where you're joining from, what kind of immigration questions or issues you have, and we'll jump into it. Please note that this is just educational, and informational only. It's not meant for individual legal advice. So definitely consult with a lawyer private about your case. And, results vary. But this is just to help guide the confusing process of immigration to see why things are the way that they are. And hopefully I could do a good job to guide you a little bit through the craziness that is U.S. immigration law. So well held, Nika, Lauren, thank you for joining. Today, immigration is just doing all the different immigration stuff. People are really worried. I get calls every day about different things, but I'm filing a lot of cases, and even cases that are going to the embassy, consular processing, we're starting those for a couple of marriage kind of cases, fiance cases. We got to do the initial paperwork, get it ready anyways to have. So it hasn't stopped us, and we're still moving those forward. Along with that, also business and investment cases. People come here to start businesses or extending their current status. Now, from colleagues, I constantly hear really disheartening news of how the immigration department is just being really difficult. One thing that started under President Trump, is that before, if you're missing a document in the application, they would just send you what's called a request for evidence, or RFE for short, RFE. And they would say, well, you're missing this piece of paper. Please submit this so we could finish process your application. But President Trump came, they put out a memo that said at the discretion of the officer, instead of asking for the document, they could just deny your case. And a colleague of mine just got a case denied like that for something that they incorrectly requested. It's something that the government has in their files, information they have. There's no need to include in the application, but they were denied for it. So you got to be very cautious and sometimes overdo the paperwork. So it's there to avoid these kind of denials, because it's very, very troublesome if they do get denied. Correcting is very difficult and costly and time consuming, and sometimes they won't even let you correct it. So it's very troubling the way they're doing things with the immigration office. But we'll see what happens. This is really unfair. What's happening is a lot of lawsuits are going forward to sue them on this stuff to see what we can do. ADN says, can K1 and K2 visa holder come to the U.S. in these days with Trump's 60-day ban, or no? Well, that's an important question. So the way, if you had an existing immigrant visa, let me explain what the trouble with it is. A K1 and a K2 are fiance visa and the spouse of a fiance visa. These are called non-immigrant visas. These are people coming temporarily to the United States. It's not an immigrant visa like a marriage green card would be, or employment-based green card after you do an interview. The 60-day travel ban that President Trump had specifically said it only applies to people who have immigrant visas, not non-immigrant. So that leaves it open. It's like, well, are K1s immigrant visas or non-immigrant? Where do they file? Well, technically they're non-immigrant visas, so it shouldn't apply under this. So because of that, originally I said no, but a colleague of mine discussed it with a consular officer, and they said no. At this point, we're considering K1 fiancés as immigrant visa, so we're not going to let them, the travel ban is going to apply to them. We're not going to issue visas to them. That's okay. That's kind of ridiculous. But there's also in the travel ban, it says if you have an existing immigrant visa on April 23rd, whatever the day was, it doesn't apply to you. But is this considered an immigrant visa? So it's like they want to have both ways. Is this considered immigrant visa, non-immigrant? So I'm not sure. In this kind of case, I don't have any K1 fiance visas right now, but talk with the lawyer you're working with. I think the thing would do is to contact the board, the post, the CBP post that you'd be entering the United States in, to confirm with them beforehand, and also the embassy that issued it to see what their take on it is. So you have some paperwork to support you. That's the kind of stuff you have to do, and a lawyer would help out much easier for those. Okay, so Cynthia says, can my husband work with an expired green card? It depends on what kind of expired green card it is. If you didn't do removal of conditions, a 2-year green card, then potentially that might be problematic. But in general, if you had a 10-year green card and it was expired, yeah, you can work. You don't lose your 10-year green card just because you didn't renew it. The green card just serves as evidence of your lawful permanent residence. So in those kind of cases, it's better to renew because a lot of employers will want to see that, or they have to see that before they can hire you. But if he's self-employed, for example, it doesn't really come up that he needs to show that he has a green card, so that'll be fine too. But be mindful, you are supposed to carry a valid visa on you at all times. I'm not sure it's a good idea to carry an original green card with you because it could get lost. But at the very least, it just makes sense to renew it. Or it makes more sense, if the case is appropriate, to file for U.S. citizenship, just so you don't have to keep renewing the green card and stuff. But make sure to talk with a lawyer, have a consultation if you like with my office, info@jqqlaw.com. So we can do a review of his background to see what's going on, if it's appropriate for him to file citizenship and no big problems pop up. And just file for citizenship and save the money on renewing a green card and all that kind of stuff. But that's the way to go. So Cynthia, follow-up says, we just paid to renew it. Okay, so I mean, if you did, you renewed it, but still, I would say look into see why citizenship wouldn't work, would work for you. ADN says, when will the 60-day travel ban of President Trump expire? He said at first it's going to be 60 days, and at the end of the 60 days, he's going to review it again and make a decision to renew or not. So we don't know exactly when this is going to stop. But you also have to be worried about it if your spouse is from one of those countries already banned in Europe, China, Iran, affected by that travel ban. So, or people have visited those countries. So there's a lot of extra things you have to be mindful for. But for now, they've said 60 days, but then they're going to also potentially issue non-immigrant visa travel bans as well. So we'll see how that works out. It's not very thoughtful the way they do stuff. It looks like they don't talk with a lawyer, and they don't really provide proper guidance as to what's going on. So we just have to figure it out afterwards. And this K1 Fiance visa is one of those that fell in the cracks and is not fully clear, but we'll have to contact them and see what's going on. Pink Joshi says, hey, is it possible to move out of state if I'm asylum pending in California, planning to move to Ohio? Well, yeah, if you're in the United States with an asylum case pending, just in general, you could move around. You just have to notify the immigration office and the asylum office that you're working with. And a lot of times people don't do that when they have an asylum case pending, or they don't do it right. And I've seen that, because you don't want to get a notice for an interview and not get it, and then all of a sudden miss your appointment, and that could lead to deportation court and all that kind of stuff for immigration court. So it is possible to move. Your case will be sent to a new asylum office that's in charge of the jurisdiction that your state is in, or that locality is in. But also that may cause your case to move back in time, might get slower, or you might go to an office that's more difficult as well. So there's all sorts of risks involved, but if you need to move, then move. Just make sure to update them. Best thing to do is have a lawyer on this kind of case. I don't necessarily handle asylum cases, so I'm not an expert on asylum, but if it's moving and stuff like that, we work together, or just have your existing lawyer, or some other lawyer help you with that. But be careful. You don't want to not give your proper address. That becomes a big problem when you don't notify the government that you move. You should always notify them if you move, so they know where you are. Cynthia comes back and says, permanent residency here over 20 years. Yeah, Cynthia, I got to have a private consultation, but citizenship is what makes sense. Josh Seeks, thanks for sharing the current live. By the way, Hari Hungul, hello to you too. If you're on TikTok, just click on the links above for the Instagram, or at least maybe on the live, but on the profile page for my profile, to follow on Instagram and on YouTube. I'll do a lot more videos, clips, and even the recording of this conversation is going to be there along with the main clips of it and other information regarding immigration law. I can help you out. So that's the way to go. Just follow the YouTube page and join the Instagram page as well. Follow that as well. For example, I post approval results for cases, and I write how long it took. So I'll have a marriage case in San Francisco. I'll say, okay, it took a year and a half. Seattle took 2 years. Los Angeles took 3 months. San Diego took 4 months. So it'll give you an idea of what's going on, but these timelines are all subject to change. All right, Cynthia, you're welcome. Adnan, thank you. You're welcome as well. Hari Hungul says, when the Immigration Department, USCIS, opens on June 24th, are they also going to open up pre-em processing? We don't know. Pre-em processing is something you could pay extra for certain business type, employment type cases, for them to make a decision faster. They shut that down because of the coronavirus, but they haven't given us any information on when things would open up or what the situation is. So I don't have any information on pre-em processing. USCIS has not informed us anything about pre-em processing at this time. Okay, user 562 says, before asylum case applied after marriage to a citizen Okay, there's a lot going on there. So before you had an asylum case, you applied for marriage through a U.S. citizen. I mean, why did you apply for asylum then? So definitely consult with an attorney in private. That's some complicated case history right there that I would need to go through. But I've had cases like this. People come on a tourist visa to be here, and they realize they need to file for asylum. There's some sort of issue, and although they file for asylum, they're waiting for their case, sometimes 3 or 4 years, to have their initial asylum interview. In the meantime, they fall in love, get married with a U.S. citizen, and we file for their green card and it gets approved. Every office handles it differently. Some officers, I think mistakenly, require you to undo the asylum request and take it back before they can approve the green card. I would challenge them on that, because if you do cancel an asylum case, potentially the asylum office will send your case to immigration court for deportation. So I prefer getting the green card, then taking the asylum case away and letting them know you got a green card, so they don't refer the case to immigration proceedings. Denmark says, sir, how long does it take to get a work permit after applying for work permit? It really depends on what kind of work permit you're requesting, where you are, and a lot of other factors that I can't, guess. And it's just up to the government. Easily 6 months, but some work permits are based on, it's called I-129. A company is directly filing for you. Those have different timelines. Some work permits are based on filing for adjustment of status. A green card, those have their own timeline. Right now, they're not doing fingerprints too, so that causes delays. So there's so many different factors that regards to timelines that I can't give you a worthwhile answer. You just have to be patient is all I can say with regards to timelines. Hi, Bisu. Umaya said, my son's green card is expired. My son's green card is expired. Will that get his green card? I don't understand your question, Umaya. Please rephrase it to have a better understanding of what you're trying to say. But cool, Jocelyn. Man, Harmik, thanks for joining. If you haven't already followed me on TikTok, it's Immigration Lawyer John on my TikTok page. So you get these. I'm doing this 5 p.m. Pacific time, half an hour, Monday through Friday, primarily on TikTok, but on Facebook live as well. So you can ask questions generally about your cases, and we could take it from there. Cool, you're welcome. Pink Joshi says, can my stepbrother file a petition for me or for my mom? Well, it depends on when your stepbrother became your stepbrother, how old he was when his parents got married, and how the relationship is. So I'd have to get more information about that specific case. BJ says you got a request for evidence and sent a reply to them, but didn't get fingerprints. Okay, a request for evidence is one thing. Fingerprints is another. I'm not sure. Fingerprints are shut down right now. Because of the travel ban. I'm sorry, because of coronavirus, but I don't know. Just have to wait for fingerprints to open up. Kyra says, I'm waiting for a marriage interview. Yeah, it's going to take a while. They shut down marriage interviews for now until June 4th. Maybe it'll go even longer than that. So there's a lot of backed up cases. Harid Hungel says, in your experience in the past, how long is the EB3 retrogression last? Will it take approximately 3 years to current? That's an impossible answer. It's not based on experience or anything like that. It's just based on current demand and future demand for that visa category. That's a calculation algorithm that the State Department uses to calculate how much it is. So no one knows. It's impossible to know how long the retrogression will last. Retrogression means that you have, there's a thing called a visa bulletin, which shows where in line people are for getting certain employment and family-based green cards. Sometimes, typically the line just keeps moving forward. Sometimes the line moves back. And in the EB3 category, the line all of a sudden in March jumped back 3 years, which has really hurt a lot of people. But Howard Hungo says how long it's going to take or to fix itself up is completely unknown, especially with the coronavirus right now. New visas are not being issued a lot. EB3 is a big India and China category, primarily India kind of visa. And because they can't issue visas for a lot of people in India, or they can't do interviews for USCIS green cards right now, they're not even issuing green cards. So that line isn't even moving forward right now. Literally, everything is stalled. So when it comes to guessing timelines, as I said previously, it's impossible to do so. It's just something where you have to be patient for. In the meantime, hopefully you file for adjustment of status and you get an EAD. And if need be, you could do transfer to another job if you don't like your current job. But in the end of the day, you just have to be patient. User 359 says, can I file for a fiance visa if we had our civil marriage already? Yeah, because if you've already, essentially you're saying I'm married already, can I file for a fiance visa? No, you have to be engaged but not married. At this point, you have to do a marriage-based green card, which is recommended anyways because fiancé visas are more time-consuming, they're costly, more filing fees, more interaction with the government. So almost every time I prefer that clients get married beforehand, unless, very rare exceptions exist where they can't get married or it's like a new relationship. I prefer to do a fiance visa. But I wouldn't bother doing a fiance visa if you're married already. People think the fiance visa is much faster. Much is relative. It's a few months faster than a marriage green card, but that's that. And also, along with this 60-day travel ban, if you're a U.S. citizen, the marriage visa will allow someone to bypass the travel ban if it continues down the line. But email my office, schedule a consultation so we could discuss it together and further with you and your fiance by a video consultation, and we'll talk to see what's going on with that case. User 562 says, "Can I schedule a phone appointment with you?" The best thing to do is to email me. If you go to the TikTok link above my profile page, jqqlaw.com/tiktok.html. It'll be a contact us page, and just let me know that way that you want to have a consultation, and we'll schedule time to get into it and do a video consultation so we see each other and have a deep conversation about what's going on with their case. I like to see my clients, know who they are, and really connect with them. I don't think the phone does that. I need to talk with both the spouses, so we can both all know each other. I like to make sure the foreign spouse or the foreign parents, whoever the people are abroad, get to see me and talk with me, because a lot of times with lawyers, people don't get to see their lawyers, or they're too shy to talk with them. I want to let them know I'm here for them. My job is to be here for you and to listen to you and to help you. So I don't want people to be shy or not know who I am. So the best thing to do is either go to the website and contact me, or email my office. It's info@jqqlaw.com, and let me know what kind of immigration issue that you have. And then from there, we'll work on scheduling a consultation video, and we'll work it out so we could take things to the next level. Akri Joshi says, "My parent is a green card holder, recently outside U.S. If they can't come back to the U.S. because of COVID-19. Your question cuts off, but I'm assuming you're saying if my parents overseas and what's going to happen? Because as a green card holder, you're supposed to be living in the United States, spending most of your time here. You're not supposed to be out for more than 6 months, especially not more than a year. Even multiple trips of 4 or 5 months could potentially be a problem. Essentially, you have to show your lives here. So in this case, if your parents are out for an extended period of time, it depends on how long they've been out, what their travel history is, where their life really is. So they have a lease agreement, they own property here, are their family here, is their job here. It's a holistic look I have to have about your relationship to know more. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the officer at the airport when they enter how they're going to deal with this. And what you want to do is have good answers prepared, good documents prepared, good explanations. So that's why I have to really know much more about your family before I could even begin advising on that. I would imagine they're going to be less strict on this issue because of the coronavirus. They know it's hard to travel, or people just don't want to get on a plane because it's scary and risky. But you never know what officer you're going to deal with, along with your case-specific history. If your parents are essentially living outside and they just come to the U.S. once every 5 or 6 months, over time, some officers are not going to like that, and they're going to say, okay, we're going to try to take your green card away. Let's go to immigration court. So just consult with immigration there, email my office, and we can go into it and do it. Harit, again, based on my past experience, retrogression, the previous experience does not calculate future stuff. So I'm just guessing. I don't want to just randomly guess. It's not professional. So I can't answer that question about guessing, about timelines. Dharmik Patel says, how long it takes to get a work permit after work permit is applied? In an asylum case, it just depends on how long the government wants to take. By the regulations, it's supposed to take 30 days, but that's never happened, or as long as I know it. It just depends on how long they take. Hopefully not more than 6 months, but it could take that long. You have to start complaining at that point to get them to do it faster. But also for work permits, you need to do a fingerprinting. So if you don't do biometrics, I don't know if they'll issue it. So that adds even more delay. Brown the Kid says, how long it take to get green card through investor program? Okay, so it takes a while. It just varies. One is getting the paperwork together could take a long time, and getting the money into the investment could take a while as well. Once you submit it, it could take 3 or 4 months to get the initial I-526 just for them to believe the investment, or if somebody takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, sometimes it just takes pending many years. So that's a unknown right there. Once that's approved, you have to do an interview, if you're in the US with USCIS or the embassy. That's unknown how long it'll take to get the interview appointment. It could take a few months, they could take a year. And then after your interview, they could approve you right then, or it could take a few months or a few years. So as you see, when people ask me these kind of timeline questions, whatever kind of case it is, there's no good answer to that. It's just you submit it and then you go. I had one case for investor program where at the last second realized some of the guy's documents had the wrong information on it for his birth certificate, didn't match his passport in some parts of it. And so we had to go and get the passport fixed. Their embassy of the home country didn't want to fix it. So we had to like go to court in his home country to have the judge force them to fix it. And so it's just a lot of stuff going on. It took an extra 2 years because of that. Simon Awesome says, if I'm filing to remove of conditions, well, please complete the sentence so I can see what's going on. Samar says, hi, sir. Which city is your office in? I'm headquartered in Los Angeles, but my city doesn't matter because we do everything by video, and I can mail stuff or email and phone and stuff. So very rarely do the cases I handle require me to be in any particular city. And if it's on the West Coast, a lot of times I do travel anyways. But my location doesn't matter, but I am headquartered in Los Angeles, California on the west side. Simon Awesome says, is an affidavit required for removal of condition? So an affidavit is a sworn letter explaining something. What I like to do with my removal of conditions is to have letters, signed affidavits from family and friends that say we're aware of this relationship. Removal of conditions is when someone gets a green card through marriage. Investor kind of cases have removal of conditions as well, but primarily it's when you have a relatively new married relationship. The green card they originally give you is only 2 years. After 2 years, you have to file another application to remove the conditions, which means to get a full 10-year green card. And in that application, you have to heavily document that the relationship hasn't really been living together, all that kind of stuff. And one of the ways to show that and add to it, that proof, is to have affidavits from family and friends to say that. Now, I try to add 2 to 4 letters, but it's not mandatory. More important would be your taxes, joint bank accounts or financial accounts, having driver's licenses with the same address, having health insurance together, having car insurance together, having joint car lease, home lease, joint property together, having children. I could just go down, I do a job day to day every day. So I do pretty clean removal of condition cases. They get approved in a year without our fees typically, especially if I started the green card case initially. They're not new clients at the removal of the case because I've already prepped them. We stand, talked, and prepared stuff for the removal conditions. But with your question, is an affidavit of support? I mean, I'm assuming you're saying an affidavit from family and friends to attest to the relationship. Is that required? No, it's not a requirement, but I have to see your whole case to see whether I definitely recommend it or not. If you don't have a lot of joint documents or joint proof of stuff, I'm gonna want some affidavits to make up for that. Arku says, what will happen? I don't know. Which is your city or state? Samshi, as I said, I'm in Los Angeles, California. You're welcome, Pete Joshi. Okay, what happens because of COVID-19 circumstances? You got to put all your question in one line. Simon Awesome says, is an affidavit required for okay, yeah, don't ask first of all, if you want legal guidance, only talk with the lawyer. Don't talk with friends. Don't go to websites. Don't go to notaries. All of them give bad advice. And if you talk to a lawyer, try to talk to 3 lawyers, because Simon right here says he's shy to ask his friends about it. Talk to 3 lawyers, because if you talk to 3 lawyers, you're going to get 3 different answers, unfortunately. And then just feel who you're most comfortable with, or maybe talk to 5 or 6 lawyers if you have the patience, and seeing what consistently is coming, or sometimes I'll say something that every other lawyer disagrees with, but I'm still right. Law is a tricky thing, it's really weird. But get opinions from professionals. Don't ask friends or something like that. Garuj says, hello, sir. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I would like to, go to Canada. Can I come back without any hassle? Please advise. Yes, as a U.S. citizen, they can't not let you come back in as long as your citizenship was properly obtained. So if you're a U.S. citizen, go do whatever you want and come back. That's fine. Now, generally, I mean, if you've been convicted of child abuse or child molestation, or if you owe back taxes, they may take your passport away. Those are kind of random exceptions. Or if you didn't get your green card, your citizenship and the property in the first place, different stuff could pop out depending on your history. It's very rare. But overall, if you're a U.S. citizen, I wouldn't be worried. But I don't know anything about your personal history and background to be able to say that for certain. That's why a consultation is needed. But generally, it's fine. Very rare to have a problem. But as a professional, I always have to be careful what I say and make sure I know exactly what's going on. So I can't advise you individually. But generally, if you have a U.S. citizenship and it's properly obtained and you have clean history in all sorts of ways, then it's not a problem. Mahemi says, my son's green card is expired. Will that get enterable? How long can you wait to renew? Well, you got to write your sentence better. If his green card's expired, they may not let him board the plane. He should renew it, and depending on how long ago it was expired, apply for a special entry permit from the embassy. So this is complicated enough where I would say, schedule a consultation in my office so I can talk with your son to see what's going on. If his green card is expired and he's outside the United States, you got to be careful how you treat it, because primarily the airlines will be afraid to let him board. At the U.S., the border, they generally won't have an issue unless he's been out for a long time. So you just got to know a lot more information about your son and his situation, his family life, everything like that, his work, before I can give a better answer to that. So schedule a consultation. Jatul says, should I give my evidence and hospital reports before asylum interview or at the time of the interview? Jatu, that's very case specific. I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, I need to know about everything in your case before I can tell you what to do and not to do. Typically, I submit all the information at the very beginning, so the government has everything. I don't like to surprise them with documents at the interview, but you should definitely consult, work with your lawyer on that. That's not something we should talk about in a public forum that's that specific. We have only a few more minutes, so if you have some last questions, let me know. I'm going to cut it off questions in a few minutes. Yem says, good evening. My question is, if I applied for I-130 for my wife, that's a green card petition for my spouse, but we get divorced overseas. Well, there's a couple of issues that you're talking about here. First off, you've applied for, you don't have a full sentence, so I'm not sure what's going on, but I think you're trying to say is you started the green card process, but you went and got divorced overseas. Well, the green card process stops right there. I mean, you can't move it forward because you're not married anymore. What I would look into is talk with a family or divorce attorney in the U.S. Sometimes if you're a U.S. resident, you have to get divorced here. So I want to make sure that the divorce is properly, recorded and acceptable. So if you get remarried again, it doesn't become a problem. But those you got to talk with a lawyer about. Akari Jochi says, when can my sister apply for her husband overseas? Any idea when the immigration hold will lift? Well, your sister can apply for your husband right now. I mean, they're still accepting cases. If your sister's a U.S. citizen, the immigration hold itself, there's the ban doesn't apply to them. So there's a lot of misinformation involved in that question. Have your sister email my office, schedule a consultation so I talk by video with her and her husband to figure out what's going on and what applies to them, what doesn't. Just this is a lot of information that needs to be clarified in that kind of case. Are they waiving biometrics too for family-based? No, they never waive biometrics unless you have their biometrics is the fingerprinting and photo appointment that they do to do security checks with USCIS. If you've already had one recently, they could reuse those, but they don't generally waive biometrics appointments. They have to do a security check based on those. Yam3 says, we get divorced before the I-130 approved and she's still overseas. Is that possible? Is what possible, Jim? You got to be specific in your question. Are you saying stopping the case? Yeah, the case will be stopped because if you're not married, you can't even move it forward anymore, so it doesn't matter. Sarah says, can I still sponsor my mom for a green card? How long will the process take? Well, Sarah, if you're a U.S. citizen, you can start the process. I need to know a lot more information about your mom's health and background and finances and health insurance, all this kind of stuff to say whether the case will finish. But it's going to take over a year. And so maybe this current travel ban that would affect your mom will be done by then. So what you need to do is start the process if it's appropriate, and hopefully in the year, because who knows what's going to happen in the year. As you saw, who would have guessed April 2020 or May 2020 would look like this? So I don't have a crystal ball to tell how long things are going to take in the future. Usually a parent case takes a year or two, but then again, it depends on what country you're from and a lot of other information. So email my office so we can have a video consultation with you and your mom, break down the situation and take it from there. Can you cancel your petition? So Yem says he started a marriage green card case, got divorced. Yeah, you can withdraw your petition. Just contact USCIS and let them know what happened and that you're withdrawing, and that's that. Okay, so I'm going to take one or two more questions. Nusrat Khan says, how much time required to get work authorization after biometrics? There's no fixed period of time. It's whenever the government wants to issue it or to get around to doing it. And it depends on what kind of work authorization you're requesting. You should go to uscis.gov. They have some timelines that are very unreliable, but if you're looking for unreliable information, which is what I could tell you, unreliable stuff when you ask about timelines, I prefer uscis.gov tell it to you rather than I tell it to you. Okay, so Parmi says, removal of conditions of green card. My husband is told to have an interview. How is that? Well, if you're married, you're both going to be going to the interview, and that's that. You have to go to interview because they don't trust some part of your relationship. The paperwork wasn't clean or complete, and so they want to double check on stuff. I would say 100% hire an attorney as soon as possible to help you out with that. Sangeet Gamir says, "Can I bring my parents here for Nepal permanently once I get citizenship here?" It's possible, but as I talk about Sarah, I need to know a lot more information, and it depends on what the government's doing at that time. But you might as well give it a shot. Okay, we're reaching the end. Thank you everyone for joining. You got a larger and larger group. I am Sarah. Can I still apply for my mom's green card? How long will it take? Well, you answered that already. Nusrat, can I apply for my driver's license while waiting for my VAWA green card approval? Maybe. I mean, it depends on what state you're in. If you have a work authorization or not, it depends on a lot of different facts. So I'd have to know more information. Simon says, I heard about a credit score policy came out. When you're applying for a green card nowadays in the United States, they're going to ask for your credit score and your credit reports. That's a new thing, unfortunately. Yeah. Jan Williams says, can owning back taxes affect citizenship? Yeah, if you owe back taxes, that's considered bad moral character. So you have to create a payment plan with the IRS, start paying it, and hopefully you have an officer that's not as strict. But owing back taxes will lead to a denial unless you have some sort of, it's paid off, or you have a good payment plan with the government that's reasonable and that you're paying it off to show that you're not a bad person. BM says, green card without condition, is it post 2 year at interview? No, it depends. It's post 2 year. So to get a full 10-year green card instead of a conditional green card, if you're married, the date that the green card is issued has to be after 2 years of marriage. So you might have an interview, but they don't approve a green card for a week later. So that adds another week. So it's the date of the approval of the green card. Or if you're coming in from overseas, it's the date that you enter the United States. Yan 3, can I cancel? Okay, you already asked and answered. You're welcome, Yam. You're welcome. I love you. And thank you. Christine Degda says, my husband applied for a green card last October. When should he get asylum? He had asylum approved. When he should get it, he had asylum approved. You just have to wait. I don't know. It just depends on how long they're taking. Astro Santa asked my fees for processing I-130. You have to schedule a time in my office. There's a consultation, is a paid consultation first to see what's going on for your case before I can decide whether to accept it and how much work is required. Then I could quote fees on your case. If you'd like to do that, just email my office, info@jqqlaw.com, or on my profile, click on the jqqlaw.com/TikTok.html link, and there you could submit a query and we could take it from there. Just remind me of what kind of issue and case that you have, and we could do it. As being saying, so U.S. still open. U.S. has been open. They just don't do in-person interviews. So we're going to have to cut it out. This one last question from Joyce CRS. For everyone else, just join again tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be happy to get into your questions and answer there and see how I can help you. Joy Carter says, how do I remove the conditions of my permanent resident card? I was married less than 2 years. So this is something we talked about a lot today, actually. But you could do removal conditions by filing Form I-751 during the window of time that you have, 90 days before the expiration of green card, along with a lot of documentation of your relationship if you're still married and living together. If, God forbid, things don't work out and you're getting divorced, separated, then it's more complicated. You have to request a waiver. I would recommend that you consult with an immigration in private to discuss, your case history, what kind of documents together, and just to look over everything. If you'd like to contact my office, just email me at info@jqqlaw.com, or again, click on the jqqlaw.com/tiktok.html link at the top of my profile on TikTok, and that'll give you the information you need to contact me, and we can take it from there. All right, thanks, everybody. Sorry I couldn't get to everyone's question, but again, come back tomorrow, 5 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, right here on TikTok and on Facebook Live as well. And if you'd like to see the recordings of this, go to my YouTube page, JQK Law Firm, or the Instagram page, JQK Law Firm, or the LinkedIn page for JQK Law Firm. It's all going to be there, and some edits and some clips as well to get you some good information on the practice of immigration law. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all stay healthy. God bless. Bye-bye.